I will talk a little bit about the works of Yolanda Mohalyi and her position in relation to Brazilian historiography. I recently discovered a fascinating coincidence among the women abstract artists I am researching, which I may not have recognized sooner. Mohalyi and Hedda Stern were both immigrants from Central Europe who left for the Americas before World War II, and they did not only resemble each other, but also shared many career similarities, having studied art at a young age in academic schools and experienced the avant-garde before immigrating. While my presentation today will primarily focus on Mohalyi and her work, examining Hedda Stern's studies will enhance our understanding of Mohalyi's reception in Brazilian historiography. As I share my recent research, I hope to communicate my findings clearly, navigating between theoretical perspectives, formal analysis, and biographies of women artists. My aim is to show that by exploring recent interpretation of women artists with similar backgrounds, we can offer new approaches to their work that transcend traditional views of femininity. About 10 years ago, curator and scholar Maria Alice Millier organized a solo exhibition for Yolanda Mohalyi at the Pinacoteca do Estado de São Paulo. Millier highlighted Mohalyi's relevance to several São Paulo biennials up to 77. Millier's strategy in addressing Mohalyi's work centers on the São Paulo biennial, emphasizing the various visualities the artist encountered during her participation. Mohalyi is introduced in the catalog following a historical context for the biennials, framed through abstract expressive tendencies amidst ongoing debates between abstraction and national tensions. Millier notes the financial elite's preference for informalism post-1960s, but defends Mohalyi's coherent artistic evolution. At 54, Mohalyi received the National Painting Prize for developing a unique expressive language, which Millier emphasizes was not merely a trend, but a significant rupture from figuration. Millier strategically approaches the subject, establishing a complex and admirable historical trajectory for Mohalyi. The curator builds a terrain for our admiration, preparing us to appreciate the works and place them within the artistic system of which they were an integral part. The uncomfortable position of this Hungarian-Brazilian painter in local art history is evident. On one hand, she's recognized as an indisputable icon of Brazilian informalist painting. On the other, her works generate little interest in academic studies. The few monographic studies about her work do not present interpretations, often limiting themselves to reporting critical views from historical art critics. Mohalyi's artistic training took place in her teens at the Nagbanya artist colony, where she engaged with Expressionism, Fauvism, Cubism, and other avant-garde movements. She was invited by the rector of the Royal Academy of Fine Arts in Budapest to join the school in the 20s, as she tells. Immigrating to Brazil in 1931, she settled in São Paulo, where she met Lazar Segal, an artist from Lithuania with expressionist training, who had already become a reference for Brazilian modernism after immigrating in the 1920s. The friendship between Mohalyi and Segal from 1935 to 1945 is often cited by critics as a reason for the formal and thematic proximity between their works during that period. Some commentators even view her pieces as Segalian copies, likely unaware of Mohalyi's prior training. In the late 50s, she immersed herself in informalist experience that would define her legacy, receiving several national awards and holding international exhibitions until her death 2 decades later. The award-winning painting Composition 1 from 1959 from the 5th São Paulo Biennial presents an abstract landscape that unfolds into geometric forms reminiscent of Cubism. It features hints of sky and earth, accented by soft stains in faded pinks, blues, reds, and oranges from diluted gouache. Subtle contours are defined by India ink with a white line, while a white line delineates some areas. Sharp lines intersect these contours with the most prominent meeting at the center of the painting. This type of geometric composition was already present in Mohalyi's earlier figurative drawings, such as Fisherman, which was a wall painting which she took forward from the 60s onward while she began composing with abstract forms. A 62 photo of Mohalyi in her studio suggests visual references to her work and abstracting approach. In the image, she paints a shape reminiscent of church stained glass windows, similar to those created by French painter Roger Bissière, known for his abstract stained glass designs in the 60s. Both Bissière windows and Mohalyi's mural feature organic lines that create curvilinear and rectilinear trajectories, delimiting small fields of color without rigid order. A comparison can also be made to Alfred Manessier, a disciple of Bissière, who continued this visual style in abstract compositions until the 80s, gaining significant recognition all over Europe. Soon after this period, Mohalyi began to investigate more fluid forms while still adhering to geometricizing containment. Her shapes then began to soar freely, as seen in the work displayed. In the late 60s, she reached cosmic compositions characterized by formless stains and circular forms. Regarding this period, Mohalyi remarked, "The first tests were square rectangle shapes with sober dark colors, creating spaces and perspectives. Then I explored textures using sawdust, sand, and collage in free informal forms. I moved from geometric to expressive tachism." This statement reflects her retrospective understanding of her journey, with expressive abstraction as the arrival place of her oeuvre. While that outlines a timeline from figurativism to abstraction, a common path for her generation, it provides limited insight into her formal and conceptual dialogues with other abstract artists. Between 69 and 77, Mohalyi viewed her work as linked to cosmic imagery, emphasizing balance, color, light, and harmony. The Great Voyage from 69 evokes the moon landing with a large white circle in the background, while some part and rhythms in a green field from the 70s features circles combined with rectangular and square shapes. The spontaneity in her painting lies not only in the brushworks, but in the freedom to create forms that engage in dialogue, whether or not they are fully realized. It's worth noting that Mohalyi taught Maria Bonomi, a key figure in Brazilian printmaking. While Brazilian historiography often claims that no groups were formed among informalist artists, many were connected as masters and disciples with a shared interest in expressionism. Thus, they can be seen as forming in spontaneous groups among women who created and taught art with similar visions. In 1977, curator Sheila Lerner published Female Art and Feminism, a text where she distinguished between feminine art as individual from feminist art, which serves as collective cause. She cited artists like Yolanda Mohalyi, Faiga Stroer, Renina Katz, Maria Bonomi, and Tomio Tak as creators of sensitive feminine universes. Influenced by US feminist movements, Lerner referenced Lucy Lippard's From the Center, highlighting differences in women's artistic sensitivity. While the group of abstract artists she describes aligns with informalism, the concept of feminine sensitive universes remains vague. Does it refer to informalism developed by women, specifically by these artists, or to forms evoking the specificities of the female body. Examining the historiography of another informalist artist, a Romanian American, can provide insights into how Mohalyi's work may be reviewed through two significant lenses. First, the limited interest in informal abstraction within Brazilian art historiography, and two, the contest of a female abstract artist in the post-war period. Hedda Stern serves a key example in addressing the artist Mohalyi's critical fortune within the art world. According to American curator Sarah Eckhart, Stern's marginalization in art history partly stems from her failure to develop a signature style, which historiography often uses to define an artist's work through easily identifiable traits in abstract expressionism. In recent years, Hedda Stern's work has gained recognition through several solo exhibitions and a consistent presence in abstract expressionist group shows. However, her inclusion in the famous photo of the Irascibles was often seen as incidental. Only critic Dora Ashton, who wrote extensively about her work, acknowledged her presence in the male-dominated scene. While both Mohalyi and Stern had faced marginalization, Mohalyi's work largely remains in the shadows of Brazilian art history. Also, in later academic production in the US, a lot has been said about Hedda Stern's impact in the abstract expressionist New York scene. I'm already going to my concluding remarks. My analysis of Mohalyi suggests that she may have suffered a fate similar to that of Stern, both overlooked in their contributions to abstract expressionism due to external factors surrounding their artistic practice. A deeper exploration of the stylistic connections and critiques of both artists could contribute to broader discourse on the role of female artists in the historical narratives of second post-war abstraction. Thank you.